You're listening to Identity After the Uniform, where we rebuild identity, stability, and direction when the structure is gone. One of the hardest things to explain after leaving the military is numbness, not sadness, not weakness, numbness. Because on the outside, life can look completely normal. You're working, functioning, getting on with things, smiling when you need to. But internally, something feels disconnected. And what makes it harder is this: most people around you don't see it. They just think, you're out now. You should be enjoying life. At least the pressure's gone. But that's not how transition works. Because when you spend years operating inside high structure, constant pressure, purpose, routine, hierarchy, belonging, and survival-based environments, your nervous system adapts to it. That becomes your normal. And then one day, it's gone. No parade, no switch off, no clear roadmap for who you are next. I remember after leaving, there were moments I should have felt happy, peaceful even, but instead, everything just felt flat. Almost like my brain didn't know how to process normal life anymore. And the scary part is, a lot of veterans never talk about this, because they think numbness means something is wrong with them. But often, it's the nervous system protecting itself. When you've spent years suppressing emotion to stay operational, your brain gets very good at survival, very good at compartmentalizing, very good at switching emotion off to keep functioning. That works inside the military. But outside of it, it can leave people disconnected from themselves, relationships, purpose, and direction, and eventually, you stop feeling like you. That's why some veterans lose motivation, pull away from people, become emotionally detached, struggle with relationships, constantly need stimulation, or feel completely lost once the noise disappears. Not because they're broken, because they adapted to survive an environment most people will never understand. An adaptation doesn't disappear overnight. This is why I keep saying, you don't just leave the military physically, you leave psychologically, emotionally, behaviorally, identifiably, and nobody really prepares people for that part. That's one of the reasons I started building the ARIS framework. Because I realized motivation wasn't the answer, understanding was. Once I started understanding what was actually happening internally, everything started making more sense. The patterns, the emotional shutdown, the inconsistency, the exhaustion, the feeling of drifting. It wasn't laziness, it wasn't weakness, it was instability. And stability changes everything. Because when people finally start rebuilding awareness, understanding, regulation, identity, and consistency, the nervous system slowly stops living in survival mode. That's when people begin reconnecting with themselves again. Not instantly, but properly. And I think that's important to say, because social media makes healing look fast. Clean, linear, motivational. Real rebuilding isn't like that. Real rebuilding is messy. Some days you feel strong, some days you feel disconnected again. But slowly, you stop surviving yourself and you start understanding yourself. That changes everything. So if you've left the military, or you're currently transitioning, or you've been sitting there wondering why you feel emotionally flat sometimes, please understand this. You are not weak for feeling disconnected after years of survival-based conditioning. Your system adapted. Now it needs rebuilding. And rebuilding starts with awareness, not shame. Thank you for listening to Identity After the Uniform. If this episode helped you, subscribe to the channel and share it with someone else navigating transition. And if you want help rebuilding identity, stability, and direction after the military, I've created a free 5-day reset linked below, because losing the uniform shouldn't mean losing yourself.